Welcome back to another episode of Experiential Travel Podcast. I'm your host, Lexington Jones. Today we have a very, very special guest, Nick Rodriguez. His story is incredible. Works a 9 to 5, but started a glamp site through land hacking, which is incredible. His property is in upstate New York, and I am so excited to hear all about this. Nick, welcome to the podcast, man.
Hey, it's great to be here. Thank you for having me. So I guess I'll do a little introduction about myself. Nick Rodriguez, and I live just north of New York City, about 35 miles north of New York City. And like you said, I work a regular job, and last year started my glamping business. And it's upstate New York. It's about 3 hours north of New York City. So it's a bit of a ride for me. Running everything kind of remotely during the week, and then I get up there on the weekends as much as I can.
I want to start from actually what made you get into the glamping business, because I know that everyone kind of finds their own path of how they got in. So I want to start from the way beginning of did you stay in a glamping site first? How did you get into it?
I've always been into real estate, investing, different businesses. So that's kind of, for many years I've studied that. I own a rental property right now, run and manage that. And about a year ago, this all happened very quickly. About a year ago, I was introduced uh, to glamping or luxury camping. I came across a company they were basically renting out these tiny homes on campsites, and they were very large, and I thought it'd be a great idea as like a little getaway to just to get in the mountain, get in the woods, and just hang out. So I was a potential customer for them, and then the more and more that I looked at what they were charging, and my business mindset kind of kicked in, and I thought, how hard would it be for me to actually set one of these sites up, put it on land, either buy the land or lease the land from somebody. Uh, so I started doing more research, and I started. I came across all these different styles of all these different sites: the tiny homes, little cabins, different styles of tents. And what I ultimately went with was the I went with the tent setup as my first site. But yeah, that's kind of how I first came across it. And
I want to backpedal a little bit on the education part, because as everyone knows, I feel like when I was starting, there's not a lot of resources, and this is a new asset class for real estate and for business minded people. So, talk to me a little bit about how the education process of learning the space, and what resources did you have, and then do you have now, and tell me a little bit about your education process.
uh, so like everybody, we go to the college of YouTube, and just literally you can find anything on YouTube. So I did a quick search, and I found some great resources on
Do
YouTube.
you remember
I
any of
found,
those resources?
um,
I'm putting you on the spot here.
no, that's fine. And one that comes to mind would be Keep It Tiny. I don't know if you know Jamie from Keep It
Yep,
Tiny,
he's got some
but
great videos.
he was like one of the first. Yeah, he was one of the first people that I came across, and I booked a coaching call with him. And when I booked the coaching call, I had already begun the process. I already found uh, found the land, had it kind of secured, and I was about to start purchasing stuff. So I said, let me book a call with him and speak to him about this and see if I'm going about this the right way, because everything seemed to be working out. So that was like my first step, and then continue watching videos, continue doing more research, um, and I've watched every video. I read every article on this space before. So that's pretty much how I started learning about this.
That's awesome, man. So you were going to stay. Did you end up staying at that glamp spot, or did you just you were just doing research when you found the glam spot?
I never stayed at it.
Okay.
No. I was just kind of looking at what they had to offer, and then, you know, why stay there when I can just build my own,
Yep.
you know?
Yep. I love that. I did the opposite. I actually stayed at two glamping businesses before I even thought about getting into glamping. And then I just fell in love with the concept of experiential travel. So like the idea of it not just being like a hotel where you sleep and have running water, but more offering an experience to guests, right? And so I fell in love with that concept, and then that's what kind of made me push through. But I love the idea of you looking at a business and then saying, wait. I could do that. Why not me? So I think that's such an incredible like birth story. So you did the education. You already were investing in the property. Found the guy. Let's talk about that. I love the fact that you land hacked this and didn't go through the typical route of buying land and zoning and permitting it, but you went the land hacking strategy of working with someone to do it. Is that still accurate? Or are we?
No, that's still true. That's very true. Um, so, you know, purchasing of the land, that was an option for me. But the more I looked at it, that would the whole process would probably take a really long time. So, and I kind of wanted an exit strategy also, just in case things didn't work out. Um, because again, I've never done anything like this, and the business is so new. Um, you know, there's always that, doubt that it may not work out. There's always a
Yeah,
risk.
absolutely.
So so yeah, I was talking to landowners, working on trying to work deals out, purchasing the land. Um, but I really wanted to see if I could put it on somebody else's property, uh, just to kind of jump in uh, right away.
Now,
So that's what I did.
walk me through how you found uh, the guy you found. His name's Mark, right?
Right,
Walk me through how
right.
you found Mark, and then kind of because like I love the concept of getting into some type of rev share agreement or leasing land from someone. I love that concept. So I really want to help listeners understand that process and how you do it, and then the benefits of doing that. So walk me through kind of how you were able to find him and then structure that deal as well.
Okay, so I didn't find him right away.
Okay.
Um, I went through a lot of rejections. I called anybody that was renting space on their land, uh, to traditional campgrounds, to see if I can rent a spot and set up the bell tent right there. And nobody wanted anything to do with it. They just basically said no, and they hung up the phone. It was just yeah, it was it can be easily discouraging, but I knew that there was a way to kind of make this happen. So I just kept going. I kept calling people, calling different campgrounds, and finally I came across Mark, um, actually on Facebook Marketplace, which is another great resource because you can literally find anything on there. And he he posted something about it. It looked like he had some sort of campground going already, uh, more for like campers and RVs. He had a couple spots on his land for people to park their campers and come and stay. And he has septic, water, and power going to a few of these sites. So I just took a shot at it. I sent him a message saying, "Hey, I got this crazy idea, and I want to set up. I sent him pictures of different styles of the sites. I want to set up something like this uh, on your land, and uh, you always have to offer some kind of value to people, right? So it can't just be all about you. So I said, hey, we'll work on some kind of deal where this is good for you, and it's good for me. I can set up this business on your property. I can pay you rent, or we'll just work out some kind of deal. So he was very responsive. He got back to me right away, and you know, uh, the rest is kind of history. We wound up meeting a couple of weeks later. We talked on the phone a bunch, and he was just excited about this project as I was.
That's incredible,
So
man.
we wound up,
That's
yeah, we wound up just kind of meeting and checking out the land, and spent a few hours with him, and just going over everything. And I still hadn't really hadn't purchased anything yet. I hadn't signed any lease agreement with him, so it was all kind of just to kind of get started.
now, Nick. Did you
And
have
that's
your location that you wanted to do before you messaged him, or were you more open to any location rather than finding a good person to work with?
Well, I knew that it needed to be in like kind of a high traffic area where there was people that were going to kind of like a tourist attraction anyway. And the spot where I'm at right now, I really didn't know how great it was until I went up there and I met with Mark, and he took me for a ride around town, and he showed me, this is still the beginning of the year, so it's still snow on the ground, everything's kind of shut down, so it was really hard to kind of envision just a popular place because everything's kind of just it's very more like a spring, summer, fall tourist attraction. So when I was up there, there was nobody, you know. So he took me for a ride around, and he showed me the area, showed me all the other camps and uh, big like baseball area, baseball camps and stuff like that. So he just said, this place is packed in the summertime. Hotels are packed, and everybody comes up here. And so that kind of helped sway my decision a little bit more. Like, if it is what he says, then this would be a definitely be a good spot to set up. Um, so that's pretty much.
Now, I got a question for you. Uh, I want some like kind of action steps on how you went about structuring that deal with him. Did you uh, were you open to kind of any idea that he had, or were you like, I want to do a specific type of rev share deal? Were you a one time a month payment to him as kind of a lease agreement? How did you set that up, and then why?
So the first year it was just like a one-time payment, basically to, and this is only we were just planning on setting up one site. I mean, my plan was to set up 10 of these sites, right? I wanted to get everything going up and running the first day. But again, going back to the education part, you really need to start slow, start a little bit smaller, perfect that site, and with the coaching calls and everything, we decided to start with one site, perfect it, make sure everything's perfect, and then kind of duplicate that site. So it was, the first year it was just basically I paid him to lease the land for the season, and and also paid to we built the first thing that we built on the site. Like I mentioned before, he has a couple of sites for like campers, and um, so he has septic and water at one of these sites where we built. The first thing we built was a bathhouse. So it has running water. It has um, septic. So we have regular toilet, sink, and a shower with the hot water heater, and that runs off like propane. So that yeah, the first year was just a one-time payment to kind of lease the land, and I was responsible for purchasing all the supplies and everything for the site, and as well as you know paying for like the cleaning fees and everything like that, which he takes care of
Nice.
and take care of.
Now, okay, so you did the education part, you found the location of the land. What made you choose your first structure? I mean, today you have six structures total, four bell tents and two tiny
Correct.
homes.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Four Belgians. Yeah, and they're tiny like little cabins. They're really
That's
nice.
so
They're
awesome,
doing
man.
incredible. They're doing really well.
That's so cool. So
Uh,
what bring me to the first structure at the bell tents. What made you go with that?
well, I mean, the style of it kind of really caught my eye. I just liked the way that it looked. Uh, it was very easy to set up. And of course, I did some research on Airbnbs and other people that are renting out similar structures, and I saw what they were renting them out for, and then I compared that to, you know, what I thought would be the final cost of purchasing everything. So really, the return on investment was extremely high,
Yeah.
extremely high. So that the style, the return on the investment, and those were two of the major factors that
That's incredible.
contributed to
So,
my decision.
and then did you do four bell tents and then two tiny homes in that order? What was kind of the order of the structures?
So we started with the one site. We got that going, and we kind of perfected that. One thing that we did is every guest for probably the first 30, 40 guests that stayed in that first site, we asked them for some kind of feedback as to different things to add, or things that they liked or things that they didn't like, and just some suggestions of things that we could add to improve the experience and make things better. So we got all that feedback. You know, we thought of everything. We really thought of everything. And then after that, our goal was to have like 10 good reviews. And very quickly we got that. So we set up the second bell tent, uh, basically the exact same setup, and so we went from that. So that was the first season we had site number one, which we ran for like maybe 2 months, and then we set up the second site. And one good thing about Mark is that he's always out. He knows the area, and he came across a local guy who lives right across from like an Amish sawmill, and he builds these beautiful, beautiful sh- shed cabins. He built everything. So he came across this, and he sent me pictures, and he was like so excited about it. So next time I was up there, we went and took a look at that, and we wound up making a purchase of that. Um, and that we opened that up for maybe 3 or 4 weeks towards the end of the season, because by the time we got it, we had to wait for him to build it and have it delivered, and there was a little bit of delays. So by the time we got it on site, leveled it up, we built a deck uh, on the front of that, and furnished it with the electric and everything in there. It was towards the end of the season, so we opened it up towards the end of the season. So the first year was just the two bell tents, and then the one cabin. Now towards the end of the season, again, me and Mark combined, we were like unstoppable. So we were both like very business minded. Uh, we said, hey, let's get a price on this lumber from the sawmill, and let's, Mark knows the local carpenters that are, looking for work and stuff. So we said, hey, we can probably save money if we just get all the lumber and build one on site.
Yep.
So
I love that.
so that was we started building the second cabin like towards the end of the year, and really it was like we were, because we had the two tents where we had to break down at the end of the year and store everything away. It was either get like a storage unit, or bring everything back down here, store it in my garage, or let's build a tiny cabin and use that for storage, uh, and open it up and actually make money with it next year. So that's what we did.
That's amazing, man. Now you're seasonal, yeah?
Yeah, yeah. So we usually run from like April to we try to go as far into November as we can. The tents come down like the beginning of November,
Okay.
just because the winters are pretty brutal, and where they're at, it wouldn't really be. It would be hard to kind of maintain it. Yeah, it would have to be kind of plowed, and it would be a lot of work, and plus the wind and the snow, it would just destroy the tents.
Yeah.
So we decided to take the tents down in the wintertime, and then we keep the cabins open as long as possible.
Do you run the cabins all year round, or are they still seasonal?
There's still seasonal. I mean, we only have the experience with one winter last year with the one cabin, and we do provide heaters but it's pretty cold in there. So we have some wood burning stoves, and towards like September, we found that towards September we have a lot of weekend bookings, but everyone's kind of back to their normal routine, and we have some time during the week where we can do renovations. So that's really the time we'll work on insulating the cabins and getting the wood burning stoves in there, and extending the season as long as possible.
Yeah, I know exactly. We keep it all year round, but it is a nightmare to try to handle it because we get into single digits in Arizona, and I mean we have to turn off all the water because it's pipes are freezing and cracking. So and then the amount of propane we go through just to keep it heated is wild. So I
Oh yeah,
I completely
yeah.
understand the brutalness of closing down and wanting to close down. Dear God, do I want to close down during the winter? Um, okay, so structures, and then talk to me about utilities. So what you said that the bell tent had a septic system and water lines. Do you guys have full power?
So the septic, the water and the septic is on the bathhouse. So we will built like a shared bathhouse for everything. We're building a second one right now.
For all six?
Um, so for all six, yeah.
Gotcha.
So we have one large one, and we're about 95% done with the second one.
Great.
So that's going to kind of I don't want anybody standing on line to go to the bathroom.
Now,
So yeah, we built
how does that work? Do you have your guests like fill out times, or is it just kind of first come first serve?
for the
Yeah.
bathhouse. It's pretty much open to anybody, just like a regular like a bathhouse on a campground.
Nice.
So far, we've been fully booked, and we haven't had any problems with just the one. Uh, so it's
That's awesome.
where they're going to the bathroom. I don't know, but it's uh,
I
uh,
love it.
everything's worked out with the timing and everything, and like I said, we're working really hard to get the second one up and running, to kind of ease the congestion on the first one. So,
Absolutely. Are you going to tie in to the same septic unit for the second bathhouse?
well, the second one is going to be um, a little bit more off grid. It's going to have water running to it, and it's going to be kind of like it's going to have like a black water tank and a gray water tank to kind of separate them, and then we'll just drain it.
Nice.
But it's still going to have it's a little bit smaller than the first bathhouse that we built, but it's still going to have everything. It's going to have a toilet, sink, and a shower with hot water. So it's going to have everything that they need. And this is like in a separate field that we keep in all the tents, the yurts. So
That's
we're
awesome,
keeping
man.
it kind of closer to that.
Now, uh, your knowledge when it came to off-grid utilities, I feel like, at least for me, that was the biggest hurdle. Trying to understand uh, how black water and gray water works, how to understand uh, pumping sewage, composting toilets. We're fully off grid, so having to do solar panels and batteries. Uh, did Mark have a knowledge on that you were kind of able to bounce ideas off of? How did the concept, or how did the education part of the utilities? How did you learn?
Yeah, so Mark was a great resource for that. He's been like, camper. He tows a big camper that he has, probably all his life. So he knows all about that, and he has the actual the septic sites on his property where he has worked on and done maintenance on them. So he knows exactly how they're laid out, exactly kind of how everything works. I didn't have any experience in that. It's uh, when you're starting this site, you know you don't necessarily have to have a fully operational restroom or bathhouse. There's some sites out there they just give you a Home Depot bucket and a bag, and you have a good time. But um, but yeah, Mark was a great resource for that. He knew how everything kind of worked, and that's how I learned.
I love it. Now, do you guys have power in the 6 units?
The two cabins we just put power in them. Um, they have regular outlets, ceiling fan, lights, and everything like that. Um, so both of the cabins have full power. The yurts, they have um, solar power. So we have solar panels outside and like a power station inside, so you can recharge your phone or your laptop. We've had people bring fans. We've had people run their CPAP machines off of it. So it's great. It's great.
That's awesome. How did again did Mark help you with that, or did you have kind of a knowledge of solar panels? Because I know that my confront on off grid was the hardest part of my journey, was learning which panels to use, which batteries to use, the inverter, the charge controller, all of the nitty gritty of solar panels.
Yeah, I didn't really know too much about it, but just with some research again, on YouTube and just reading articles, there's some there's some setups that are very easy. Um, they're meant for off grid, and they're very easy to set up. You just put the solar panels out, plug everything in, and then it recharges the power station. Um, and that's basically what we went with. And then we give them like rechargeable lanterns, and um, the whole tent is kind of strung with these solar lights also. So, but yeah, I'm still learning about
What
different power sources.
what power source do you guys use, if you don't mind me asking?
I don't want to pronounce it wrong. Butelli,
Yeah,
Butelli,
yeah, yeah,
something like that.
yeah, yeah.
I don't know if
I
I said
get
it
those
right.
ads on my Instagram like literally every day.
Yeah, we've been very happy with them. Very happy with them.
Those are the plug and
Um,
play. You just plug the solar panels right into there and you're rocking and rolling, right?
Pretty much, yeah, yeah. They're very easy to set up. You can recharge them through an outlet, or you can put the solar panels out there, and the solar panels work great. As long as you have direct sunlight, and it recharges it. It gives you all the power that we've needed. Again, it's very basic. You could go crazy doing all these different voltages of solar panels, and but that's just what we went with for the tent site.
That's awesome, Nick. I mean, it's so cool to hear other people's stories on how they were able to, because a lot of people think it's just slapping up a tent and putting a listing live on Airbnb, right? And they don't
Oh yeah,
understand the magnitude of steps that and the minutia steps of making this thing possible. And when especially you're dealing with city people that are just so used to flipping on a switch and getting lights,
exactly.
it's so incredible to hear people being able to not only learn their story on how they were able to learn it, but then how I like how you took the first unit and really learned exactly how you wanted to perfect that structure so that when you did the next one, you were able to expand accordingly. Did you run into any issues with expansion from an infrastructure wise of cleaning or linens or that kind of stuff?
Um, with the two sites, not really. Um, I was a little bit worried about going from two to three to now six, with just kind of the logistics of everything. But um, Mark is on site, so that's another benefit. He's on site, so he helps with the management of all this stuff, um, and helps with the management and making sure everything gets cleaned and turned over for the next guest, which is a benefit that we have.
Yeah,
Um,
that's awesome, man.
and that's pretty much it. So he's definitely a great help.
That's awesome. We're going to switch gears into the funding aspect of it and the financing aspect of it, which a lot of people, I get questions all the time of how you've been able to fund this. Walk me through the first one of how you were able to fund it, whether you did in cash or through different financing options, and then how you were able to expand all the way up to six.
So everything was purchased cash, and that's why I kind of went with a basic setup. The final price was 4,500 to 5,000 for each site. So fortunately, I was able to swing that. I was able to make that work. Um, and going back to the return on investment, just knowing that these sites are going to be making money, you should be able to make that back within the first year, and then not put the money in your pocket, but reinvest into the next site. So, um, so yeah, the first all the sites were purchased, were paid for already. So there was no financing or anything like that. And um, I would recommend that for somebody just starting out to maybe not get a $250,000 loan before you don't know it. Yeah, before you know anything, really. Start with something basic. You're not going to make a ton of money, but uh, start small. Don't get in over your head, and just get the experience first, and then expand. And we're moving towards that, big purchase, and that's one of our goals is kind of to expand and get up to something like that. But we want to be experts in this field before we do that.
Mm-hmm. That's so awesome, Nick. It's uh it's I love the people that are able to reinvest their profits into the expansion, because that's one unit is dandy, but when you start making the real money is when you're at 18, when you're at 20 units, and you're running a full glamp site. Um, is that kind of the goal that you want to do to expand to that number? What is do you have like a 5 year goal that you're trying to?
Well, yeah. So our goal was to kind of double the sites every year. Uh, Last year we went from three. This year we have six. So yeah, I would love to keep doubling. Uh, so yeah, we're looking to purchase actually some land from Mark. There's actually some. I was speaking to a realtor yesterday, but there's a like a couple acres up the road someone's selling. So I'm gonna go look at that pretty soon. So uh, we're gonna and as well as I'm open to working with other people setting up sites on their land, if you know if that's possible too. So yeah, my ultimate goal is to kind of keep doubling the amount of sites every year, and just keep taking kind of what I've learned in the past, and just kind of moving forward with that.
That's awesome. Do you want to stick to the same market?
Um, yeah, I mean I will I think I'll always have the same style tents. I love them. I love the cabins. I'm thinking about maybe doing something um more like an upscale kind of cabin, still kind of on the smaller end, but something that has full power air conditioning and maybe private bathrooms and stuff like that inside. So that's something that I'm thinking about for next year, kind of taking it up a notch, as well as offering the kind of off-grid setup too, because people love those.
Yeah, that's so cool, man. I love everything you're doing. It's so awesome to see you doing so well, and being able to communicate your wins from it is really cool, man. Now, let's pivot to booking channels. So, uh, do you have your own booking software, or using Airbnb, VRBO? Where are you at, and how are you getting customers?
Uh, so primarily it's Airbnb. I ran all Airbnb all last year. I had it on HipCamp for a little bit. Uh, I've had the most success with Airbnb. Um, we've started our website over the winter time, and we're able to take some bookings from there. I also put it on a couple other sites, Dirt, and I just created a listing on Booking.com just to kind of see what else is out there. I want to try to kind of get on as many platforms as possible,
Nice.
and I'm not really using any property management software or anything like that. So I kind of want to keep it a little bit smaller to the right channels, just so it's easier to manage. And I don't make any mistakes with double bookings or anything like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Now that's really interesting. You're not using any type of softwares to help you manage this?
No, no, this is just old school, you know.
I love it.
It's no, it's just me and like if it was just me running this and I didn't have any help from Mark being on site and everything like that, I would definitely need something like that, some sort of property management software. You know, if you can recommend something to me, that would be great. Definitely consider it. And but yeah, so far just
Just solo.
just me.
Solo dolo. Yeah, we use Guesty for hosts, and I love it. I mean, it's allowed me to expand without having to hire someone on site to say hi to every guest. The guests do an automatic check in, but I can't tell you how valuable it is to have someone like Mark. I think that's the number one thing we're missing is that friendly face. Uh, do you think that that's from a guest experience has having Mark was a big help to them?
Yes, extremely. He's extremely helpful. The guests love him. So the way that we have it set up is because I'm not able to be on site every single day. Um, everything gets booked through me. I get the bookings, communicate with the guests, set everything up, send them, the all the messages, everything that they need to know. I let them know in advance. Uh, I'm not going to be there. Mark is going to be there when you arrive. Just let me know, or he'll let me know if he sees you, and he's gonna come right over. He's gonna do like a meet and greet. He's gonna show you, bring you to your site, show you around, show you everything, um, take you to the bathhouse, show you how everything works, and he'll even give you his phone number just in case you need anything. He'll recommend, what places to eat at. He'll recommend where to go, and he's been in the area for a very, very long time. So he's definitely a great resource, and he's like the nicest, friendliest guy that you ever meet. So he's definitely he. We've had solo female campers come, and I think a lot of females are hesitant to go out on their own and stay someplace that's they're not familiar with. But once they meet Mark and know that he's on site and know that there's other people on the ground, um, they feel very comfortable. So it's definitely benefit.
I got to find myself a Mark, man. That
Oh, if I could clone him and
does he want to
give
move
him to you, I
to
would.
Arizona because that's awesome, man. That's so cool. Yeah, that's I think that's the number one thing that we're lacking. I think that I mean you're a super host, so that I think that directly translates to how well your operation is running is having him, but not only having him, but the aesthetic that you've created as well with the tents and your photos. Uh, what do you think the number one thing when on the marketing aspect has been for you in getting bookings?
Um, well, I think the the pictures don't really do it any justice. I would probably say the reviews kind of speak for themselves. I think a lot of people kind of base their decision off of the reviews. Um, so I would say that's it. I mean, pretty much haven't done any crazy marketing besides putting it on Airbnb. Uh, but that's I think that the reviews are kind of what makes everything stand out.
Have you? I know that Mark is there to help with anything. Have you ran into any like crazy issues that has come up and you had to get fixed?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can't make everybody happy, and we've ran into some problems. We ran into a couple issues, nothing major, um, but things that guess they were like, you know, they weren't too happy about. Just it was an old farm, and there was shotgun shells in the dirt path or something like that. Like, all right, we'll clean it up. They let me know.
Yeah.
There was one, and I have it. Yeah, it was a guest that came. and they needed like a camp bed because they were bringing their kids. So we had been fully booked, so the other sites had kind of used up all of our new stuff. So Mark had some old stuff in his, you know, shed out back. So he took those out, he cleaned them up, and they were having a great time. It was probably midnight when they went to go inside the tent, and there was these little bugs, the earwig bug. I don't, they probably don't have them out there, but they're like little creepy little bugs that are crawling all over the place. So they freaked out. They left. They left. I got a message from the lady at like 3 o'clock in the morning saying that we had to leave. Sent me all these pictures. They had to go find a hotel room. All the hotel rooms were booked, so they had to drive like 3 hours to find
Oh
a hotel
my
room.
goodness.
It was a nightmare. It was an absolute nightmare.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I called her in the morning. I got a hold of her, and I was in complete like panic mode. I was like, oh, this can't be happening. This is the worst case scenario. So you know, another thing about the education is you got to be able to work with people. You have to be a good host. You have to be able to kind of diffuse these situations and make it right for the guest. So I took care. I refunded her immediately and refunded her all of her money. Completely apologized. I paid for her hotel room
Oh my goodness.
just to make her happy, just because that was the right thing to do. That's what I would have wanted somebody to do for my family.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. Didn't even she didn't even ask for it. I just said this is the right thing to do. I'm gonna take care of everything. Don't worry about anything.
Nick, that is
Because what a
incredible.
nightmare.
Yeah.
And it was just it was just something out of our control. Really, it was really something out of our control. We didn't know everything was cleaned up. They must have been in the frame somewhere, but it was just situations like that. It was just, a nightmare, and you have to be able to kind of handle those situations. And she was very nice, very happy, and she left a 5-star review.
Look at
So,
that. I love that. Yeah, we found that communication, if a guest isn't happy, communication over the phone wields the best response because I feel like when people, there's so much miscommunication that can happen through text and people get tonality wrong. And I feel like for us, we've been operating for 2 years now and we get a lot of guests that don't understand that it is a glamping experience. We're doing airstreams and travel trailers. So people, we have to remind them that you're in the middle of desert with 40-mile-per-hour winds on dirt roads, so that the dust kicks up, and our cleaners do a good job, but sometimes it's not always that you're going to run into dust, and we found that if we just jump on the call with them, similar to what you did, that personal interaction with guests is 99% of the time handles all issues with them. And I love that you went above and beyond and paid for their hotel room. I mean, that's just speaks volumes about the person that you are. So I think that's amazing, and that's the type of experiences that they will go home to their family and say, look, yes, there were bugs, but I would 100% recommend this place to other people. So I think
right, yeah,
that's awesome.
yeah, that's exactly the way that I would want somebody to treat my family if that was them staying there, and and I think that's you know what some people are kind of lacking. A lot of businesses that's what they're lacking these days. It's just the customer service and treating people with dignity and respect. Just I don't think you really get that a lot these
Absolutely.
days.
What do you think has been the hardest part of starting this?
Um, the hardest part, well, so the hardest part was kind of giving the control to somebody else, right? Because this is my thing, this is I wanted to start this, and I'm making this happen, but I can't be there every day. So giving the control and trust in other people, um, that was probably the hardest part. I got over that. I completely trust everybody that's helping out and on site. And, uh, you know, be more than happy to give them as much control as they want. You know,
Yeah.
um, but that's probably the hardest thing, and um, just learning. Um, just learning everything. That's but that takes time to get the experience and everything.
Absolutely. So I call it experiential travel because I really wholeheartedly think that this isn't just a place to stay for the night. It's uh, what we're what we're trying to do, and what you do is so well, is offer an experience to guests that are lifelong memories for them and their families. And I think that that experience that you offer is so incredible. Do you have any stories or any times that kind of sunk in for you where you're like, what we're doing here is more than just a place to sleep and crash for the night?
Oh yeah, I have a ton, and I wish I could read you every review that we've gotten because it was just incredible. People that just they go crazy for the place. They really trust us with their time and their experience because you know the pictures look good, but when you get there, it may not match up. But we've exceeded everyone's expectations, and there's just countless stories of just people trying to get away from the city, and they're coming up, and they've never seen anything. They've never seen the stars the way that you can see the stars from our side. It's just absolutely incredible. There's families that come up, father and son, and they're have playing baseball. It kind of brings back a lot of memories of me and my dad, and it's really great. We had just recently we had family of there was probably 15 people. We rented out all the tent sites, and they were all the kids were just running around having a great time, and they couldn't didn't want to leave. So it's just stories like that. Just people that are they go out on these tours all summer to different places, and they said that this spot kind of made the whole trip worthwhile. So it's stories like that. It's just really incredible. And being able to provide that for people, kind of that's what this is all about. It's really what this is all about. This is what you know the whole glamping business is not everybody's going to want to go in the woods and set up a tent. This is getting more people involved in the outdoors and nature and just it's an alternative from your typical boring hotel room. It's, you go outside, sit by the fire, look at the stars, and kind of disconnect from everything for a little while. So that's what we want
I
for everyone.
love that. I mean, I couldn't have said that any better. That was phenomenal, man. I think that uh, that experience of being able to unplug from the crazy social media or the crazy news and just spend times with your loved ones is unparalleled. I mean, I think that ability to decompress and extrovert yourself in the wilderness is something special. So, uh, I want to thank you for what you're doing and the amazing sites that you have and the amazing experiences that you're offering other people. Our whole goal here is to educate so that we can have more people like you put up more sites to create more long lasting memories for their guests. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart to for allowing me to pick your brain and provide some education. I think what you're doing with the land hacking of working with another person to get in, I think that's a great strategy. I think for people that you can understand how daunting it may feeling to have to buy a piece of land and then have to bring in power, water, and septic, and that's such a good way to get your feet in the game quickly is by doing that. Any other tips that you would suggest for someone wanting to start a glamping site, experiential travel type site?
Again, I would just say kind of start small, do your research. Um, learn as much as you can. You're never really going to learn as much as you do when you actually get your hands dirty and get in there and get your first site set up. Um, and I think it's possible for anybody that really wants to do it. And it's that the easy part is buying everything, and then the hard part is really uh, being a good host and treating your guests like family and really taking care of them. Um, so yeah, that would be what I would have to say to to somebody looking to start.
That's awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for your time, and I'm glad that we were able to jump on this, and I'm excited to see
Yeah,
you
oh,
double in the future,
anytime,
man.
anytime, anytime. Yeah, I look forward to talking to you again.
Yeah, man.